Alright, so I wanted to make a hopefully relatively short video on my ram pump. This is a spring-fed ram pump. This is the spring collection box right here. I figured I'd start up here at the source real quick and just kind of briefly go over where the water's coming from down at the ram before I actually get there. So basically my spring is behind me. It's buried under the ground in plastic and dirt and rocks with a dam. I've got two pipes leading into the spring box right here. When I was first building it, I just used one and it wasn't enough to actually suck all the water out. So I ended up putting a second one, and you can see they all flow, nicely. This is a 12-gallon-a-minute spring, so I'm getting about anywhere from 16 to 18,000 gallons per day out of this spring. I built it last year, or I developed it last year, and it has flowed 12 gallons a minute all year long, every single month. Every time I've measured it, it's always been about 11 or 12 gallons a minute, which, like I said, is 18,000 a day. That's tons of water, more than we could ever hope to imagine to use. This is my pump box right here. This is the one that I had the video on. I think I had like a 7 or 8 part series showing how I built that and how I set it up. That's a relatively new addition, that spring box right there. That was supposed to be put in the very beginning. It collects sediment first, and then it can, I can run lines to wherever I need to. But this middle one right here, that one with the steel connector down there, that's my ram pump feed, and you can see it's all the way at the very bottom. That pipe there is the one that goes to my pump box. That's the one that we currently use right now for our house water. And as you can tell, with my ram running, I have it ramped all the way up to almost full blast. I've got an adjustable valve on it, a waste valve on it, so I can adjust how much water it uses, but I've got it running pretty high right now. So when I'm done with this video, I'm gonna have to crank it down so that this box will fill back up and give us water for our house. Right now that tank is full, but if we use water, the pump would suck it out and it wouldn't, it would kill the pump. But anyways, that's just an overflow in the corner right there. Ram pump, house feed, and those are the inlets like I already showed you. This is a overflow for the actual spring itself, just in case we get like some crazy storm, some like tons of water coming in for all up at the hill. It shouldn't get down in there because it's covered in plastic, but if it does, that would be kind of like a safety measure for my spring, so my spring doesn't get tore up or messed up. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it and walk down to my ram pump. Now my supply line that I was just showing you is 600 feet long. I think it's over 600 feet, but I think it's about 600. And I've got a standpipe down there, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so this is the standpipe. Right before I get to the pump, I just wanted to show you the standpipe. It is 10 feet tall, and as you can see, it's overflowing water, so it actually needs to be taller. I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of water coming out of there right now. It's just kind of pulsing and surging out. But if there was more pipe on that, I bet it would probably go up a few more feet. Slowly, as that water gets captured, more weight gets pushed on it, and I get more pressure and more water out of the end of my pump. Not only that, but that water would still be collected right there as well. It wouldn't be getting wasted out, so it would continue to rise probably another foot or two at least. But anyways, this is an 1.25 inch ram, and I'll just jump right in. Now, like I said before, I built a custom waste valve for it, so I have it regulated to where it's running full blast. I mean, you can see all my spring water is coming through this entire system. As what the spring box was showing, those 12 gallons a minute was just completely gone, pretty much all getting sucked down that pipe. Now, while this thing runs, it runs at about 28 psi. 30 would be right in the middle between 40 and 20. So it runs full blast when this thing is, and this valve is completely open, so it's pumping uphill, and it's pumping uphill, I'd say about 40 to 45 feet right now, not real high. I do have some pretty big future plans for this setup. I'd like to build a water tower and have a gravity-fed system for the home and a bunch of really cool stuff. Real quick, I can stop that, and you can really see the water coming out of there now. I don't know if you can see it, but I can hear it. Anyways, this is the waste valve here. The valve that's inside of this is actually just a simple standard check valve. That's what is stock in there. When I say I built a custom waste valve, what I meant is that I added onto it, I modified it, and I have a fully adjustable valve, basically. I pretty much took a brass thread. It's probably hard to see. It's a brass thread, like long nut thing. And I screwed on this bolt, and then I have this rubber and metal washer weight. It just adds weight to it, so it helps it close it faster. But it also puts pressure against it while water's coming out. So you'll see it gushes water out and pushes this up, and then it snaps back down. And it pushes it up slowly, and then it pops it up and snaps back down. And it kind of does that over and over again. I can take these nuts completely off so that this has full range of motion, and I can actually tighten them down to where the thing runs really fast. It goes up and down very, very fast. Now, you don't get much water out of that because it's circulating so fast it doesn't allow much water to actually hammer and give you pressure, but it does work. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that back up, and I don't think killing it like that for just a minute or hurt my line any. I think it'll still pump just the same. I really want to show you guys where the water's coming out at. Stay to the end because it's pretty cool. I think some people could get some pretty good ideas from it if they're watching this video. All right, actually, before I get to the top of the hill, I'm going to go ahead and show you the bottom of the hill. Right over there is where my ram was in the creek. We've got our garden right here, and this is the overflow pipes for the chicken water and the horse trough. So basically, my ram right now is feeding the horse trough and the chickens way up that hill. It's about 40 feet elevation, and I'd probably guess about 500 or 600 feet in actual distance. But this is where it's coming out at. I have this pipe right here. It's just kind of covered up with dirt, and I want to kind of line everything with rocks and make it look all pretty. But I just kind of cut myself a little ditch in the garden, and I've got a little pond here. I'm gonna probably make this a lot bigger. I'll probably cut out this whole little area back here and have it fill into a pond. So I have like, you know, a ram pump fed pond, I guess, or a pond fed, yeah, a ram pump fed pond. I know it's kind of weird, but that's all just overflow. So we're feeding our horses and our chickens, you know, the water from the ram up that hill, and for free, for no electricity, no power bill, you know, nothing like that. It's all free, and so that's why I did it, because it's cool, it's fun, it's free. And then the overflows are captured and they're brought down the hill back down to the garden. I'll show you those water troughs here in a minute. I'm kind of skipping a step, but and then I'm probably gonna, I just dug this today, that's why it's all muddy still, but I'll probably dig another ditch leading back to the creek. The creek is probably, I'd say 20 feet away from me right now. It's just through those bushes. So I'll just dig another ditch leading back there. But it's nice to have a little pond in your garden area, because I'm old school. I like watering cans. So basically I'll just come up right here, scoop myself up some water and water all my plants. I thought about doing some kind of an irrigation system where I actually have like a pipe leading all the way across with holes in it and stuff like that. But I'm probably not going to end up doing that unless I get the inner, you know, motivation to do something like that. But it's a nice little setup. I love having flowing water in the garden. That's kind of why I did that, is because, you know, we have flowing water now. Even though it's just, you know, still a pond, it's pretty cool, I think. But let me stop jabbing on and let me go up to the top of the hill. Okay, so I'm at the top of the hill. This is the ram pump delivery pipe here. This is where the water pumps to, and it stops at this point. Well, it doesn't stop, but the pumping part of it stops. And then it starts flowing in both of these directions here. I put a T in, and I put valves in so that I can regulate each one if I want to. This is the chicken water, and this is the horse water. And the reason why I say that the pumping stops here, kind of, I think I could technically make a case for it, is because this is where it starts being gravity fed. Now, technically, I guess, it is still pumping in both directions, but I tried near the bottom of the hill, or even halfway through the delivery pipe, you know, on the way up here, to split it and pump it in two different directions uphill, and it didn't really work out for me. I don't know if, you know, people who have done a lot of testing with ram pumps and delivery pipes and stuff like that, if you try pumping uphill in two different directions, well, I don't know about other people, but I'll say for me, I couldn't get it to work. I don't know why. I don't know why it doesn't seem to work, but heck, if you have an idea or if you've done it before, let me know how you did it, because it would be kind of nice to be able to just, you know, pump uphill and then split it in 2 different directions and continue going. It seemed like whichever one is lower, all of the water wants to come out of that. And I tried putting a valve in it to kind of regulate it down and then open the other valve, and I tried different things, but to make a long story short, I couldn't get it to work for me. So basically I'm pumping with one line all the way to the top of the hill. This is the highest that I really wanted to go because the chicken coop is right here, or the chicken lot. The chicken coop is right there, but this is the chicken lot. So this is the highest point that I wanted to get to. And you can see this is my chicken waterer. So the water comes up here and it starts flowing here using gravity. See, it's really not pumping in this direction, it's just kind of flowing now. And basically I've got a series of PVC pipes with holes drilled in it. You can actually see the water's leaking out right there, which means I could probably cut that valve back a little bit. I could probably close it a little bit more to cut that water back. Just a tiny, tiny bit, like that. And that'll probably slow down some. But anyways, that fills up with water right here. It fills up, and then there's the same thing on the other side where it overflows out. And so then there's another line. This is the inlet, and then this is the overflow, and that goes all the way back down next to my horse water, which this is the horse water. I guess I'll show you that next. Okay, so that next line was right here, and that's what fills up the horse trough. You see all that nice water coming out, and there's the overflow for the horse trough, which comes down into that pipe. Now, this one right here was the overflow for the chicken water, and then this one is the overflow for the horses, and you can see they meet into one. And that goes all the way back down. This right here is what eventually goes back into the garden. That's what I showed you earlier. So all the water that I'm pumping uphill here flows back down to the garden. So all of the water that I'm pumping is not being wasted. It eventually meets it back to one point. Now, of course, it is going to flow back into the creek, but technically it's just going back into the ecosystem in the creek where it came from. Well, that's where the spring water would have gone anyway. So the spring is that way, down that hill. It flows all the way around to the ram pump, all the way up the hill to the chicken coop, and then back down to the horses, and then back down to the garden. So I've got a nice, you know, circular motion with everything, and hopefully that'll help give somebody an idea on what they want to do. If you want to leave me suggestions with what, you know, I could do better or whatever, I'd be happy to hear them. And as of right now, I think it's a pretty awesome working system.